Hi. I watched another movie on Saturday night, another Netflix exclusive, and it really wasn't very good. It was called How It Ends, and it's a science fiction drama that starred Theo James, who I think is some sort of Game of Thrones person, and Forest Whitaker. And the setup is very, very generic. Um, he wants to ask for Forest Whitaker's daughter's hand in marriage, but Forest Whitaker is an ex-marine and he's really mean and tough and generally unpleasant. And then the apocalypse starts happening. Um, Phones go out, the power goes off in Chicago, there's a heat wave in Europe, there's an earthquake in Hawaii. All the different bits of various apocalypses are all happening at once, with no explanation as to what's actually going on, because that would involve thinking through what's actually happening in the movie. And they're in Chicago, and the daughter slash fiance is in Seattle, so obviously they go on a road trip, because that's exactly what you would do if the world was ending. And so they embark on this trip cross country, and they encounter people, and they think, oh, these people need our help. And they get out of the car, and then the people attack them, and they fight them off, and they get back in the car, and then they drive a bit more, and then they meet some more people, and so on and so forth. And this happens 4 or 5 times during the course of the movie, and it's very, very boring. It's very stupid. Um, the mechanics of the apocalypse exist solely for story convenience, but the story is so thin and weak and so uninteresting, and the characters are so flat and badly written and almost devoid of any real interest. I mean, Forest Whitaker does what he can with a vaguely interesting character who, yes, he's tough and mean, but he also loves his daughter and wants to help her, and they're like chalk and cheese as they fight their way through the end of the world in a movie with no sense of humour. It's just dismal. It's really dismal. It's called How It Ends, and yet when there's no explanation of what's going on, and the film doesn't even have a proper ending. It ends rather like, I think I mentioned on the podcast once, The Bourne Legacy. It ends at the end of Act 2. There's like another 40 minutes of movie that's supposed to be there that just isn't there. I won't spoil how it ends. Look it up on Wikipedia, because you might want to watch it. Some of you are here might want to watch it and don't want it spoiled. But it's it's really weak as piss. What I found startling was the script was on the blacklist. The writer, Brooks McLaren, has no other writing credits, but his script was on the blacklist, which meant that it had been chosen by various executives and talent agents and all these kind of backroom people in Hollywood, and they read all these scripts that are floating around that haven't been produced, and they vote on which are the best ones. And this one was shortlisted on the blacklist, which means that a lot of people who have no real creative instincts have decided that this is a good movie and should definitely be made. It's terrible, and most films that are on the blacklist that do get produced are usually terrible because they are concepts that could be marketed rather than films that will be good. This could be marketed. It's a chalk and cheese road trip through the end of the world between a man and his future father-in-law who don't get on, and they've got to rescue the same woman. And you can package that and market it and pitch it as an idea. And there's no reason for it to actively be terrible. You could do a version of that that's good, but this film is terrible. It's one of the worst ones I've seen this year. It's just devoid of any ability, skill, interest. It's just slapped together with no real thought or care. The lead actor is a plank. It's just... it's a big wet fart.